Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bart Homblé, and I'm going to talk together with my colleague Jetse Smers for the next 45 minutes a little bit more about FortiSASE. So, first of all, what is SASE or Secure Access Service Edge? As most of you might know, this is composed of two big components, being the networking and the security from SASE. The security, this is what we're going to talk about first component. This is also called SSE or Secure Service Edge. This is not a technology, but rather a package of different services. And now let's break down those services. There are four of them. The first one is a secure web gateway or SWG, which will provide access towards the web, applying your company policies. The second component is the firewall as a service. You can see this as a firewall in the cloud being delivered by Fortinet in this case, exactly the same as a firewall, next generation firewall, the FortiGate, as you know, on-prem, delivering the same level of security. The third component is, of course, the cloud access broker or the CASB. This gives you secure access to your SaaS applications, which are, of course, proliferating in the current world where everybody is using more and more SaaS-driven applications, and it gives you a lot more granularity on that case. We will go further into that later on in this session. And the fourth component, of SSE is the ZTNA, or Zero Trust Network Access. And this actually gave a paradigm shift in networking and security, where before, once you were on a network, you were always trusted. Now this is a change, never trust, always verify. And the ZTNA access will, of course, check the user, the device, and those positive checks will give explicit access to a certain application, which will often be a private app residing on your company premises or maybe in enterprise cloud environment. Of course, what is differentiating now SASE from SSE? Well, this is the SD1 component. And of course, we all know Fortinet. Fortinet is a leader in SD1, and they are already at Fortinet for decades preaching the convergence between networking and security. And this convergence together provides SASE, SSE plus SD1. And this is a cloud-based solution. It doesn't need a lot of operational expenses. It's rather CapEx because it's more of a SaaS-delivered solution with artificial intelligence powered by FortiGate Labs, and it's all based, already told you, in the cloud. So the convergence from networking and security is also true for on-prem and remote users, where FortiSASE will provide a single vendor SASE. Fortinet will provide the whole stack of core solutions I just presented to you, and it will provide you with simplicity. It will also give you consolidated security and a better user experience. So what was the evolution of SASE and the SASE architecture? Before, you had a lot of point solutions, and let's just take the 5 core capabilities I just told you, and you had more than 100 vendors that were capable of presenting those to you. That makes a lot of complexity, a lot of integration that need to be made, and a lot of possible security exposures. The next thing that came were around 50 vendors that were capable of combining things, and that made a dual vendor SASE. So often what we saw was that IT operation, they sought out an SD1 provider, often could be VMware, could be Fortinet, and then the security team that made a choice for SSE, being, for example, Zscaler. Of course, this still kept a lot of complexity, and that's also why not only we as exclusive, but also Fortinet and also analysts like Gartner are preaching to go for a single vendor SASE solution. Now, in August of this year, half of August, Fortinet came out with a new Gartner came out with a new magic quadrant for single vendor SASE. and there you see that Fortinet is a challenger. One of the, let's say, benefits of Fortinet was the value that they give, the cost effectiveness that they give from their solution. One of the points they need to elaborate is, for example, the points of presence, which are not that many, but for Belgium and Luxembourg markets, we are rather well covered because we have POPs nearby in our neighboring countries. We have one in Frankfurt in Germany, we have two in France, in Paris and Vauban, and there's also one in UK, in London, which maybe for GDPR compliance reasons would be less used, but in general, we are really well served. So what also is important to mention is that Fortinet has complete security POPs. So other vendors often say, yeah, but I have a local POP, but often they are just passing through. They're only networking POPs, they just pass through to where the actual security stack is being placed. Another analyst being Forrester also named Fortinet as a zero trust edge solution leader. And so it's not one analyst group or that's saying that Fortinet has a good solution. There are several. So why are we now talking about SASE? Well, because the business opportunity is huge. Gartner predicts that by 2025, 60 to 80% of the enterprises will adopt to a SASE strategy. And the addressable market worldwide is around 15 billion. In 2026, it will be around 21 billion. So 1/3 of all those implementations in 2025 will be single vendor, and where this is today around 10%. If we will look a little bit closer in 2024, already 80% of the SD1 deployments will have an SSE component in them, where this was only 25% today. So this is also important for all type of customers because it's a capital expenditure. It is a SaaS delivered service, SASE, and you can also position this at our Belgian, Luxembourg customers, our PMEs or SMBs as you want. And we really hope that our partners, your integrators, they will build a managed service around SASE. So what are now the trends that are accelerating this SASE market? First of all, there is a hybrid workplace, which is the new normal, and it's here to stay. Last year alone, Belgium entered in Europe in the top 5 of countries where people are working the most from home. So we cannot look around it, it's there and it's going to stay. Following the Verizon breach report of 2022, 90% of the breaches had to do via web applications or via the web. So the web is still a top attack vector. In the new report of 2023, this was still around 80%, and still the web was the main top attack vector present. Another trend that is going on is that a lot of VPN deployments are aging, and so they need to be replaced. End users have a lawful or have a bad experience with some of those deployments and are getting more and more frustrated. Another thing that is moving the trends towards SASE, and especially the CASB then, is the growing the growing presence of shadow IT. Shadow IT being applications that are used which are unknown to the IT department. So next to this, which are key projects that are driving SASE adoption? Well, first of all, there is the secure remote access, where people are moving from the old VPN to probably a ZTNA approach, which often is due to additional security which is needed, or sometimes also for legal and compliance reasons. Another thing is the replacements of the web proxies. Often they're still relatively old on-premise solutions from Blue Coat or Symantec, which need to be replaced, or where customers are looking for more, let's say, features around web access, and then we are talking about the CASB for the SaaS applications. Another one is also the movement from the remote, from the branches. So Now, Jetzel will explain more into depth 3 different use cases or access possibilities, being the SIA, SEA, or secure internet access, the SSA or secure SaaS access, and then the SPA or secure private access. So I'll pass the word over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Bart. Thank you for that elaborate explanation about the how and the why of FortiSASE. So, hello everyone. My name is Ed Smers. I'm a security engineer here at Exclusive Networks. I've been working with Fortinet and Fortinet equipment since 3 years. Also teaching some trainings. Today, I will show you the typical deployment scenarios of FortiSASE. How can you use FortiSASE in your network? Because of course, I get it. It's all good and it does some good stuff, but how is it actually working? Well, and for those, we have some typical scenarios which we can tackle. And the first one is secure internet access. With secure internet access, we're purely going to focus on accessing the internet. And in the first scenario, we're doing this with our well-trusted Forti clients. So remember, your Forti client is the client, the agent, which you can install on several endpoints. It's supported on Linux, Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, and it's there to or provide a VPN connection to a FortiGate, but it can also be leveraged to provide secure internet access via FortiSASE. So that's the first deployment where we install an agent on these endpoints, and it's a typical deployment for remote workers. If you're working from home, for example, you're not behind a corporate FortiGate, because as you know, in our offices, we all have FortiGates if you're in this ideal situation, and this FortiGate is making sure that you can access the internet securely. It provides web filtering, IPS, AV filtering, deep packet inspection, DNS filtering, and all these services can then be used to protect your internet access. Now, if we're working from home, we don't have that expensive FortiGate at our home network. So that's why we can then leverage FortiSASE. The Forti client will set up an always-on VPN with all the FortiSASE POPs which you are using. It's an always-on VPN actually in the back, which is piping all your traffic. It will do the scanning with the firewall as a service in your FortiSASE POPs and will then break out to the internet, ensuring that you always have the same consistent security protection, whether you're connecting from your corporate offices behind your FortiGate or from home via this Forti client to the internet. Now, a use case which is pretty similar is the one without an agent. And then we're basically going to use our FortiSASE POPs as proxy servers. So we can configure this with pack files, and then we're going to configure our FortiSASE as a proxy server in order to access the internet. Now, do keep in mind, this is not a recommended deployment. Recommendation is still to go with Forti client, but if you don't have the possibility to install a client onto your users' laptops or your mobile devices, you can use this type of deployment to still ensure remote connectivity for those users. Now, a third use case that we can build out is the one of TIN, or as you would call it, secure edge scenarios. This is making use of existing devices. It's namely going to use the FortiGates, the Forti extenders, or in the future, FortiAPs will also be added. Certain models of the FortiAP family will also be added to be able to provide this internet access via those single devices. This means that I could install, for example, a Forti extender on a thin branch, as a small branch, maybe a shop behind my ISP router. And this little device is going to set up this connection with FortiSASE. All the users which are behind my extender or in the future behind my FortiAPs will be able to browse securely to the internet, because again, the traffic is piped through the FortiSASE POPs, the inspection is being done, and the inspection that is being done in FortiSASE is exactly the same as you would have with a full-blown FortiGate. It's going to use the same FortiGuard services, the same profiles, security profiles, which you can implement on FortiGate, can also be implemented as well in your FortiSASE environment. Now, apart from the secure internet access, we can also focus on secure SaaS access. Because as you know, we are nowadays working with a lot of SaaS applications, be it Microsoft 365, Google Cloud, Dropbox, Salesforce, or ERP systems, they're all in the cloud. Now, the problem with this is that if you want to secure this properly, then you always need to have that component in the middle. If I wouldn't go through FortiSASE, and I'm not behind the FortiGate, for example, I would just connect to the internet without going to any inspection points, and I can just access my cloud applications. Now, with FortiSASE, you can also tie that down, because FortiSASE will be the secure component, the central component within your network. And users can then use FortiSASE to connect to those SaaS applications. Your FortiSASE has full visibility in where you're connecting to. And there is also a CASB component. We have an inline CASB, which is there to recognize applications, see what you are doing. But we also have an out-of-band component, an out-of-band CASB solution, which is always included within your FortiSASE licenses, and this is based on API. So then you could also, for example, integrate with those SaaS applications via API to scan whether files are uploaded or downloaded, is it permitted. You can implement data leak prevention and that kind of stuff based on your FortiSASE. Now, with secure SaaS access, sorry, I want to go back once more. So if you want to implement secure SaaS access, then you would have the possibility to or implement this with FortiSASE, or if you're used to do this with ZTNA, which is also a possibility. So remember, ZTNA is a component where we're going to use essentially a FortiGate as a proxy to browse to internal applications or even our SaaS applications. Then you still have that possibility, because ZTNA is natively integrated with FortiSASE. It's just what you like. ZTNA can have the added functionalities of improved latency. So you are directly connecting to these applications without needing to go through that FortiSASE. But if you don't want the hassle of configuring ZTNA, then you can still use those ZTNA components, and we will see it in demo later on within your FortiSASE portal. Now, we also have secure private access. Secure private access is mainly a mechanism where we're going to integrate our FortiGates or our ZTNA with FortiSASE. So this means, and this is actually also what I explained, for example, for the SaaS applications with ZTNA, but now also with those private applications. I can leverage ZTNA still, as I would do without FortiSASE, to connect to my private applications immediately without needing to set up a VPN tunnel or something. I can just immediately connect to them. The same components, the same ZTNA components are included in FortiGate are also included in SASE. Or I can even go a step further, and I can publish my private applications by configuring a connection, an IPsec connection between, for example, my data center or my headquarters and my FortiSASE POPs. And this means that I don't have or I don't need ZTNA anymore, because your users are automatically connected with the FortiSASE POPs via the FortiClient, via this proxy server, via the tin hedge. And the FortiSASE POPs on their turn are actually connected to your data center. So if I would like to access a private application, then I could just go through that FortiSASE POP, and then it will be routed to my internal data center, internal network to my data center, for example. And here you can also see the SD-WAN component, which is available in FortiSASE, which is present by including your FortiGates in this whole FortiSASE topology. Now, we can also have a closer look at this, and therefore I would like to make a drawing. So I'm quickly going to switch my screen. Let's do that. So I will be presenter from now. Make presenter myself, and I will share my main screen. So now you should be able to all see a blank screen. And I can draw a typical topology, which you could expect with FortiSASE, for example. Let's see, you need to reposition the camera. Do I need to reposition the camera? Okay. Let's first enable the pen again. Okay. Like this. It's not working. The highlighter is working. Erase the pen. Yeah, now the pen will be working. So, camera, am I again in the picture or not? I'll give it now. Is this better? I think so. So, imagine, for example, we centrally have our FortiSASE in the middle of our screen. This is just a circle, and for example, we have our internet access, which is over here on the top of the screen. So our FortiSASE, of course, is connected to the internet, because we have this secure internet access scenario that we want to present. We could have a private cloud. This could be hosted in public cloud, or it could be your own data center, whatever. Imagine we have some HQ over here where we have FortiGate. We have some users working from home. I'm router over here. And then we have some team branches, for example. Some branch offices, very little offices where we can leverage, for example, FortiExtenders and FortiAPs. So if we want to draw all the components on this drawing, then we would install a FortiGate in our HQ, because our HQ, our main offices, they have more networks. We still want to provide segmentation over there. So there we still need a FortiGate. In our data center, whether it's private or whether it's hosted in the public cloud, we also want, for example, a FortiGate. On our thin edges, so thin branches, we can use or the FortiExtender, FortiExtender, or our FortiAPs. And if we're working from home, then we would have the FortiClient, which is the component which will connect to FortiSASE. So what this means, our endpoints are always having this tunneled connection to our FortiSASE. If this endpoint would like to connect, for example, to the internet, then it will always go via this FortiClient through FortiSASE to the internet. Now, we will have the same scenario for our FortiExtender and our FortiAP. So our thin branches, they also have this tunneled connection. So if there are users behind them who should also be able to connect to the internet, then they will also connect via FortiSASE, and a secure connection will be ensured again by going to your FortiSASE box, because this tunnel is always present. The HQ, yeah, there we have a full-blown FortiGate, and as you remember, the security with a FortiGate and with FortiSASE is on the same level. They are using the same engines, the same FortiGuard databases and stuff, so there is no need for the HQ to go through SASE, so they can immediately access the internet. It's as easy as that. Now, we still have our data center, and at our data center, yeah, we want to make this available to our users who are working at those thin branches or remotely or even in the HQ. And therefore, we have certain possibilities. So we could or just implement ZTNA, and then with ZTNA, you can perfectly use your FortiGates built-in ZTNA components as you're using them right now, because if you're using, for example, the Forti client integrated with FortiSASE, then you have the same ZTNA components available as with FortiGates. It is supported, and you can just use ZTNA as you're used to. Or I can make an IPsec connection between my data center and FortiSASE. In this case, my users will be able to connect to this internal networks in my data center via FortiSASE POPs. So if I would like to access internal resources, it will be tunneled again through FortiSASE. The SD-WAN components will kick in and will route the traffic through that IPsec tunnel to my data center. And this is supported from all the tunnels that I have, so also from the Forti clients which are connected to Forti extenders. And I can even just create an IPsec tunnel between my HQ and FortiSASE as well to pipe this traffic as well, or I can use directly. And that's the beauty of using this FortiGate topology, because it gives you a lot of flexibility. You can decide for your own how you want to build your environment. Do I want to build immediate IPsec connections to my data center, or do I want to leverage FortiSASE? Do I still want to use ZTNA because I'm now implementing this and this is enforcing me to build this zero trust principle within my network? You have those possibilities and you can choose whatever suits you best. And we also have a demo ready for you to show you this. By the way, if you have questions during those presentations, do not hesitate to put them in the chat or send me the question box, and we will be happy to answer them, or even send you resources if you need to plan a meeting after this if you want to. So now you should be able to actually see my FortiGate. And the first thing I would like to start with is the SD-WAN component. So as I told, FortiSASE is a cloud-hosted application. So all the management is in the cloud, as you can see, and it's all available from FortiCloud. So this means that you can log in via the support portal and you have immediate access to your FortiSASE instance. It's natively integrated with, of course, two-factor authentication via the Forti token for your administrators. So this is my FortiSASE environment. See it as a central place where my users will connect to the internet if they are not behind the FortiGate. This FortiSASE instance is actually built out of 4 POPs, and that's the default deployment scenario. So you are able to choose the POPs that you want, as Bart said, upon the creation of your environment. So right now here we have chosen to build our SASE environment with POPs from London, from Germany, and from France. And that's also what you're going to see over here. So these are the POPs which we are now actively using, and our clients are connecting to one of those POPs. You can also see these over here. This is my client. This is the Forti client, as you will probably be familiar with. And if we have a look at the remote access, then we see that there is an always-on VPN created by to these FortiSASE POPs. It's called Secure Internet Access. The connection between the Forti client and your FortiSASE is based on users. So you can include your users in your SASE environment. This is done by LDAP, Radius, via SAML, however you like. And you can even use private applications, because remember, I can create an IPsec tunnel between my FortiSASE POPs and my data center. And that's also what we've configured over here. So if I would show you the secure private access component, and this is how it's called with FortiSASE, then you could see that I have a connection from FortiSASE going to, in this case, FortiOffice, which is my data center. And you can see this over here. So we have 4 tunnels, one to every FortiSASE POP that we are using. So remember, France, 2 in France, 1 in Germany, 1 in London, in the UK. It's via these IPsec connections that we can also publish, for example, internal applications. Now, because we have installed our Forti client on our endpoint, we should also be able to access our internal resources. For example, if I open up my browser and I would like to browse through a video around FortiSASE, then I can do this. I can browse to a private application. But yeah, I'm still connected to the internet. I'm off net, which you can see over here. So I'm actually not behind FortiGate. I'm not in the data center. I connect to this server, the 99.20 server, via our FortiSASE POPs. Now, remember that I told that you could use the ZTNA components within FortiSASE. Well, that's also something which we have implemented over here. Because I've created policies to accept or deny traffic, which is, oh sorry, this is my FortiGate, this is my FortiSASE. So I've created policies which direct this private access traffic. So this is traffic which needs to go to my data center. And if you are a bit familiar with FortiSASE, with ZTNA, then you will certainly know the concept of zero trust tags. We have created one over here. It's called SASE Paint. Now, the SASE Paint is just a check that we're going to do on every host which wants to connect to our internal data center. And it's going to check whether the Paint client is working, is open on the endpoint or not. So if the Paint client is open on my endpoint will be tagged with SASE Paint. Now you don't see that I've opened my Paint, so I don't have that tag. Now I opened up my Paint, and if I go to my ZTNA tagging, and I open this Paint room, then it will be more visible. It's just going to check whether mspaint.exe is running, whether it's a running process. If it is, then he will assign this SASE Paint tag to your endpoint. Now, I know Paint is a bit of a stupid example, but imagine that, for example, you are creating vulnerable tags. Then you could use the integrated vulnerability scanning component of FortiClient to check whether any vulnerabilities are found on your endpoint. Or you can create a compliant tag where you're going to check whether the AV is up to date, whether Windows security is enabled. There are a lot of things which you can check on by file, certificates, registry key, OS version, AD group, etc., etc. And these tags make sure that the clients that are connecting to your internal data center, but you can even use them for internet access, are actually secure enough, are compliant to do so. If we go back to our endpoints, we have opened up the Paint client. So if you see, we now have this SASE Paint tag being assigned. This SASE Paint tag is also used in my policy as I've shown. So I was able to access my ZTNA video. Now, if I would close my Paint, then I won't be able to access my ZTNA video anymore because there is, just like with the FortiGate, an implicit deny. It will not match any of the rules, especially not this one, because I don't have the SASE Paint tag, and my connection will not go through. How is this checked? This is done with a regular polling mechanism. So every minute, my clients are connecting to my SASE POPs to do this validation. So every minute, we're going to re-evaluate whether those tags are still needed or not. So if I would close my browser, now you see my zero zero trust tag or paint has been removed. So if I would now like to access my FortiSASE video, I won't be able to because I don't have the tag anymore. Now remember, you could also use ZTNA, and this is also what has been set up in our demo. So remember, ZTNA is a component where we're not going to use any VPN technology anymore. We're just going straight to our applications via ZTNA servers defined in our data center. And that's also what we have done over here in our data center on our FortiGate. So here I've created a test SASE policy where I have created a ZTNA rule allowing access to my internal applications. Now, what's really interesting is that, remember the compliant tag, which we have configured in FortiSASE? It's also visible on our FortiGate. So we can also use those clients or those tags which are created in FortiSASE on our local hosted FortiGates, because we have an integration with them and they share the knowledge. So this means all our FortiGates which are integrated with the FortiSASE have all the information available of all the tags which were distributed to the endpoints, will have the certification, knowledge, etc., etc. So we can also leverage this one. So here I have asked for the FortiGate to check the compliant tag. If the endpoint is compliant, then I will be able to access my network. So now if I would browse to my Flappy Bird application, I will not go through my IPsec connection which I've made between my data center and FortiSASE, because that's not working anymore, as you can see, because I don't have paint open. Now it's only going to check on the compliant tag. So let's test. I select my certificate just as I would do with ZTNA. So that's also how you can see that I'm not using secure private access via my SASE box. I'm using purely ZTNA to immediately connect to those applications without the need to go through my SASE box, because I can inspect traffic with my FortiGate, which is in my data center. I click OK, and I can access my application. So those were a few use cases of how you could see and implement FortiSASE. Now, if you want to have more information about the licenses, how it all works and stuff, then I would advise you contact Bart. He will be happy to share the data sheets, ordering guides, and to help you with configuring a decent licensing model which suits your needs. Because as I said, you have a lot of options to do so. Now I'm going to pass the word back to Bart for the wrap up of the presentation. So you should have presenter access right now, and you can reshare your screen and we can, yes, proceed.
Thank you, Jitse. So I hope you all enjoyed Jitse's demo and his art that he created. I hope it will stay. So what is really important for us is that you talk to your customer, that you engage your customers about FortiSASE. Because if you don't, competition will, and it's actually low-hanging fruit. And I made up some key questions that you can that you can ask your customer. For example, are they currently satisfied? Oh, I'm not changing the screen. Are they currently satisfied with how they are actually handling remote users, for example? Do they have, for example, a ZTNA framework that they want to put in place? Those are all, you see the 4 questions, those are possible engagements with your customer. And to wrap up this session, I found some nice acronyms on Fortinet, so I really want to show them to you. So SASE at Fortinet is secure, adaptive, simple, and efficient. And yes, it's told a little bit about the licenses. I can assure you that comparing with some other vendors, FortiSASE is really easy to license, really transparent, and we do hope that you will all engage with it, talk with it to your customers, and also try to develop some managed services around it, because that's actually where the money is, and also what your customers are expecting from you to help them to solve those complex security questions that they have for the moment. So I really want to thank you for the time. We still took some time, a few minutes, for some questions. So I do not know if there are any yet for the moment in the...
No, we don't have any questions for the moment from the public. If you still have, please put them in the chats.
If not, I can already talk to you about some upcoming events and trainings. So today we have our SASE webinar. Know that for the technical people in November, from the 21st to the 24th, we are still providing an NSA4 training. There is also the 12th of October, our fast track attack. And then a few weeks later, we have the same, or the fast track of defense, this 26th of October. And then for all those people who really love Fortinet and want to show their knowledge, we are doing a Security Fabric Challenge the 9th of November, where you can compete against each other or against other integrators, which will be very nice. Additionally, really interesting for everybody is the 14th of November. It's our annual NetSec event. This year it will be in Leuven, in the Brabantal. And it's Fortinet will also position their SASE, as well as what Fortinet is doing on the OT side. Talking about the OT, we have a webinar planned together with Nozomi on the 9th of November, and also an OT fast track on the 12th of December. So we're doing really a lot of things. Besides that, also Fortinet is doing some great stuff. So the 15th and the 16th of November, there is an expert academy going on in the south of Holland. So not a long drive. Please go ahead and subscribe over there. So here you have the recap. I don't know if in the meanwhile.
Yeah, in the meantime, we have some questions. Okay. So the first one is, would you be able to manage FortiSASE from FortiManager? And I'm going to answer that one. So you will in the future. Fortinet is working actively to make this happen right now. In the first phase, they will probably only share address objects, policies, profiles, that kind of stuff, so not profiles. In the second phase, they will also be able to share policies and completely manage your FortiSASE solution from that FortiManager. Indeed, good question, because you probably have a current install base, and of course you would like to keep that single pane of glass. If you have one right now with your FortiManager. So yes, it will be in the future. I'm going to check whether there are any more questions. Screen. I've got another question. Doesn't this mean that our FortiSASE is going to diminish our FortiGate install base? Maybe I can take that question as well. No, they are completely complementary, as I would say. So that means that you can still have your FortiGates in your bigger offices, because you still need security profiles, segmentation, that kind of stuff in the bigger offices where you have multiple networks, multiple VLANs. Also in the data center, your FortiGate is not going to move away, because especially in the data center, you still want to have some more control over the environment. You're not going to pipe all the traffic first into the cloud, then do the inspection, and then take it back. So no, you should see it as a complementary solution. FortiSASE is really there for this secure remote access component. That's what it is focusing on. For the smaller offices, for example, those branch offices, yeah, you can take out some FortiGates, because then you can leverage FortiExtender and FortiAPs to, for example, make sure that your NPS servers can still reach the data center via FortiSASE. So I think we will move to a combination of including both FortiSASE and FortiGates within our networks.
And I can add on that one. I think you all know that a lot of customers are still hybrid. So you still need a firewall somewhere. So make use of the investment that we already did. Additionally, existing Fortinet customers having a FortiClient, they just need to upgrade their FortiClient, which is included. You have the full-blown FortiClient included in the FortiSASE licenses. So it's actually a no-brainer. As well, people are saying, yeah, it's all going to the cloud. I had the last couple of weeks a lot of discussions, and a lot of customers are telling me that a lot of their end users are already looking into migrating back out of from the cloud. So if you are replacing all those FortiGates, then there is the threshold to go back will be bigger and bigger. So I think capitalize on your existing investment that you did in the FortiClient, in the FortiGates, and just add FortiSASE. And this also makes the customer more flexible on an exit strategy out of the cloud.
Yeah, and also additionally to this, so yes, indeed, it will mean that in a few months, it will be able to have a standalone FortiAP connecting to your FortiSASE. And then I could place just that FortiAP in, for example, a small shop. This will make a connection through to FortiSASE, and everything is connected to my network. By using that single FortiAP, just keep in mind, that is roadmap. What we do have right now is working functionalities with FortiExtender. So FortiExtender, the same, but then for wired connections, that's already possible with FortiAPs. This is about to come on specific models. So yeah, it will be possible.
Okay, if there's still a last question?
No, we answered them all. If you still have, put them in the chat or send us an email.
Yeah, we will be glad to answer. We'll also be glad to come and demo. If you would like to demo those kind of SASE solutions of FortiSASE at your customer, know that there are NFR licenses, so not for resale license, at a very low price and very interesting. So please get into contact with me or with Jetse, and we will be very glad to help you further. So with this, we will round up this FortiSASE webinar, and hope you all enjoyed it, and see you on the next time.
Okay, goodbye everyone.
Bye.